1979 to 1985. An orange Charger flying 82 feet through the air. A horn playing Dixie that made an entire generation stop what they were doing. Cut-off denim shorts that changed television forever. The Dukes of Hazzard wasn't just a show. It was a cultural earthquake that destroyed 300 cars, launched a Billboard hit, made a Basset Hound famous, and turned a piece of metal into the most beloved character on TV. There were lawsuits that almost killed it, actors who lied their way into stardom, a narrator fighting addiction nobody knew about, and a final goodbye that never made it to air. These are 30 strange, shocking, often heartbreaking facts about the Dukes of Hazzard. And stick around, because we've got a bonus fact at the end that'll blow your mind. Before we jump in, drop a comment and tell me, what's the first thing that pops into your head when you think of the Dukes of Hazzard? The General Lee, Daisy's Jeep, Boss Hogg's white suit? I want to know what made this show unforgettable for you. Fact 1. Stuntman Craig R. Baxley launched a 1969 Dodge Charger 82 feet horizontally and 16 feet into the air. To keep it from flipping forward, which had already happened in earlier attempts and nearly killed drivers, the crew loaded several hundred pounds of concrete bags into the trunk. The landing was so violent it obliterated the car instantly, scrap metal. But that one jump, filmed at Oxford College near Covington, Georgia, became the opening credits. 147 episodes, 7 years, millions of viewers watched that same doomed Charger soar through the air every single Friday night. One flight, one wreck. One image that defined an entire era of television.
You probably noticed there's something different here.
Fact 2. The General Lee's horn wasn't a sound effect or a studio trick. It was a real musical air horn called a Dixie horn, built from 5 individual brass trumpets of different lengths. When you press the button, compressed air fired through each trumpet in sequence, playing the first 12 notes of Dixie. You could buy the exact same horn at auto parts stores. But after the Dukes of Hazzard turned it into the most recognizable car sound in America, people stopped calling it a Dixie horn. They called it the General Lee horn. Like, that's how powerful the show was. It didn't just use a cultural symbol, it absorbed it, rewrote it, and made it theirs forever. Fact 3. Producers wanted Daisy Duke in a white turtleneck, go-go boots, and a poodle skirt. Catherine Bach showed up to set with her own idea, a homemade t-shirt, denim shorts she'd cut herself and could never get even, and high heels. Network executives panicked and threatened to ban the shorts entirely. After tense negotiations, they agreed, but only if Bach wore flesh-colored pantyhose underneath to keep things appropriate for family television. The pantyhose backfired spectacularly. Instead of covering anything up, they created a smooth, glossy finish that made her legs even more striking. What was designed to censor became the thing that made Daisy Duke iconic. Her legs were eventually insured for $1 million.
He drives like Richard Petty, shoots like Annie Oakley.
Fact 4. The General Lee, the car itself, not the actors, received an average of 35,000 fan letters per month during the show's peak. More mail than most human cast members. People sent love letters to an orange Dodge Charger. They mailed marriage proposals to a vehicle. Warner Brothers had to assign dedicated staff just to sort through the General Lee's correspondence. Think about that for a second. This wasn't a character with dialogue or emotions. This was 3,000 pounds of steel with a horn that played 12 notes. And it had more fans than most Hollywood stars. The car didn't just steal scenes, it became more famous than the people driving it.
Don't stand there, go get her!
Fact 5. Waylon Jennings wrote Good Old Boys and released it as a single in 1980. And it shot to number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100, his highest charting pop hit ever. But the commercial release had a third verse that wasn't in the TV version, and it was hilariously self-aware. You know my mama loved me, but she don't understand / they keep a show in my hands and not my face on TV. For 6 entire seasons, Waylon narrated every episode without ever appearing on screen. Just his hands strumming a guitar in the opening credits. His hit single became a tongue-in-cheek protest about being television's most famous invisible man. That's the kind of meta-humor you don't expect from a show about moonshine and car chases. Fact 6. Over 7 seasons, the Dukes of Hazzard destroyed an estimated 300 Dodge Chargers, 1 to 2 cars per episode, sometimes more. The production became so infamous for obliterating General Lee's that they literally caused a Dodge Charger shortage across the United States. Mechanics salvaged doors and roof panels from wrecked vehicles, then crushed the worst ones, somewhere between 75 and 220 completely totaled Chargers into scrap metal. When they ran out of 1969 models, they bought 68s and 70s and modified them to look right. Some had their engines completely removed before jumps to make them lighter. By the final seasons, genuine Chargers were so scarce the show resorted to miniature model cars for stunts. And fans noticed immediately.
I want to nail Bo and Luke Duke. Nail.
Fact 7. 18-year-old John Schneider told producers he was 24, from Snellville, Georgia. Walken had just graduated first in his class from the Georgia School of High Performance Driving. Every word was a complete fabrication. He was actually from Mount Kisco, New York, had never set foot in Georgia, and the driving school didn't exist. He showed up to the audition with a week's worth of stubble, a borrowed pickup truck, a six-pack of beer, and a thick southern accent he'd invented in the car on the way over. The producers bought every single lie. They hired him on the spot, handing a teenage kid from New York one of the most iconic southern roles in television history.
Jill Dodson? Your little Jilly Ray Dodson?
Well, it's just Jill now.
Well, I haven't seen you since you run off to college.
It's been a while.
Hey, Luke, ain't it wonderful what hormones can do?
Fact 8. Producers were hunting for a blonde Dolly Parton type to play Daisy Duke. Catherine Bach, half Mexican, half German with brown hair, was the polar opposite of what they wanted. She almost skipped the audition entirely, when her girlfriend pushed her. It's Warner Brothers. You never know who you're going to meet. After her reading, the room went silent. Bach panicked, thinking she'd bombed. Then all 30 people in the room stood up and started clapping. They'd found their Daisy. 2 weeks later, she was on a plane to Georgia, filming a role she'd gotten despite being everything the casting notice said they didn't want. Sometimes the universe knows better than the casting director. Fact 9. Sorrell Book refused to play Boss Hogg unless Warner Brothers wrote 2 ironclad restrictions into his contract. His character would never deal drugs, and he would never kill anyone. Book was fine with Boss Hogg being corrupt, greedy, conniving, and crooked, but he demanded moral boundaries. The studio agreed, and those 2 clauses shaped the entire tone of the show. Boss Hogg could steal, cheat, and scheme his way through Hazzard County, but he couldn't cross into truly dark territory. This one actor's ethical stance kept the Dukes of Hazzard family-friendly, even when the villains were at their worst. It's why kids could watch without nightmares.
He's so crooked, he makes you look straight. But he's clean ruthless. You're dirty ruthless. Give me dirty ruthless any day.
Fact 10. Sheriff Roscoe's high-pitched, exasperated voice wasn't something James Best invented in rehearsals. It was the silly voice he used playing with his young children at home. That stuttering laugh, the pinched delivery, the childlike catchphrases, all of it came straight from his playroom. When creator Guy Waldron noticed the show was becoming massively popular with kids, Best made a decision. He didn't want children to fear approaching police officers in real life. So he deliberately transformed Roscoe from a corrupt and gun-wielding sheriff into a bumbling, lovable fool. He used his dad voice to keep children safe. That's not acting. That's fatherhood shaping a character from the inside out.
I wish those Duke boys were on my side.
Happy birthday, Daisy.
Why, thank you, Enos.
Fact 11. In 1982, the show nearly imploded. John Schneider and Tom Wopat sued Warner Brothers for $25 million over unpaid merchandise royalties. The studio fired back with a jaw-dropping $90 million countersuit. Then they did the unthinkable. They replaced Bo and Luke with look-alike cousins Coy and Vance Duke. Byron Cherry and Christopher Mayer filled in for 19 episodes, desperately trying to replicate chemistry they couldn't possibly recreate. When the lawsuits finally settled, Coy and Vance vanished without explanation, and the real Duke boys returned like nothing had happened. Now, those replacement actors thought they'd gotten their big break. Instead, their big break became their career obituary. They disappeared into TV obscurity. Real quick, did you stick with the show during the Coy and Vance era, or did you change the channel? I need to know. Drop a comment.
I don't sleep good at night knowing it either, but it's just as wrong for y'all to steal them and make money on them.
Oh, now, Enos, your daddy ran moonshine, and so did ours. Now, did you ever know us to mess around with gambling?
Then why'd y'all do it then?
You'd never guess.
We did it for the sheriff.
Fact 12. The Dukes of Hazzard was never meant to be a series. Warner Brothers ordered 9 episodes as mid-season filler. They filmed the first 5 in Covington, Georgia in October of 1978, wrapped on episode 5, High Octane, and broke for Christmas. The cast and crew fully expected cancellation. Instead, executives watched the rough cuts over the holiday and saw lightning in a bottle. By January, everything changed. They moved production to California's Golden Oak Ranch, built specialized car workshops, hired more stunt drivers. Austin greenlit a full season. The actors came back from Christmas thinking they'd finish 4 more episodes. They ended up making history for 7 years.
They had it. Not when you was asleep at the wheel. Grab that sign. You grab it. Well, I can't. I'm driving. Oh, is that what you call it?
Fact 13. Only 6 General Lees were built during the Georgia filming. When production moved west after Christmas of 1978, 2 had been completely destroyed. 3 were shipped to California and eventually wrecked. But the 6th car, General Lee No. 6, had never been used. It was sold to the show's transportation coordinator for almost nothing to settle unpaid debts Warner Brothers owed him. That car became the only surviving Georgia General Lee, still wearing its original hand-painted graphics, never repainted or modified. Today, it's the holy grail of Duke's memorabilia, the last pristine survivor of where it all began. Priceless.
Reynolds never seems to get lost.
He's got a mustache.
Fact 14. Bo Duke's full legal name wasn't just Bo. It was Beauregard Duke, named after Confederate General P.G.T. Beauregard. Luke's full name was Lucas K. Duke, and the K stood for nobody knows. It was never revealed in 7 seasons. These good old boys had formal, historically loaded names that the show deliberately kept hidden. They preferred the folksy nicknames that made them feel like your cousins, not characters named after Civil War generals. There's something intentional about that choice. The show wanted you to see them as family, not history.
He just ain't got no taste, that's all. I swear if women was birds, you'd probably date a buzzard.
And you date a crane, no meat.
I'm collecting these. What for? Lining a rabbit's cage?
Fact 15. Sorrel Book wasn't actually fat. At 5'6" and 185 pounds, he was slightly overweight at best. Like the famous 62-inch waistline was pure costume magic. Book wore heavy padding under his white suits and deliberately waddled to appear more corpulent. He even modeled Boss Hogg's thick southern accent directly on U.S. Senator Strom Thurmond's distinctive voice. Everything about Boss Hogg, the gut, the waddle, the drawl, was manufactured by a trim Yankee intellectual impersonating Southern excess. The buffoon was 100% performance art by a man who could have taught the role at Yale.
God damn. I wish those Duke boys were on my side.
You don't have to worry, boss, because I'm going to hit them Duke boys where they live. I got Daisy, their cousin, in jail, and they're going to swap.
Fact 16. Sorrel Book was a Columbia and Yale graduate who spoke 6 languages fluently: Japanese, Chinese, Russian, Italian, French, and Spanish. During the Korean War, he served in U.S. counterintelligence, using those linguistic skills to fight communist espionage. This scholarly, multilingual spy spent his entire post-war acting career playing bumbling idiots and country fools. Most Dukes fans had zero idea that the man in the white suit had once outsmarted enemy agents and held an Ivy League pedigree. Many didn't learn about his James Bond-style past until after he died in 1994. The gap between the actor and the character was almost surreal.
At least he don't dunk it.
Fact 17. In several episodes, Boss Hogg's morning routine included drinking coffee while eating raw liver. And Sorrel Book, method actor to his core, actually ate raw liver on camera. No prop, no fake substitute, real raw liver, take after take, because he believed in total authenticity. This was the same man who wore heavy padding to look fatter, studied Southern accents despite being a New Yorker, and spoke 6 languages. He could have phoned in Boss Hogg. Instead, he consumed raw organ meat because the script said so. That's dedication most actors wouldn't dream of matching.
Now, you can tell a lot about a man by what he eats for breakfast. Boss usually has coffee and raw liver. Well, at least he don't dunk it.
Fact 18. Waylon Jennings recorded the theme song and narrated every episode as the balladeer. But behind the scenes, he was fighting a devastating cocaine and pill addiction that was destroying his finances and health. By the time he finally appeared on screen in September of 1984's episode, Welcome Waylon Jennings. The legendary outlaw country star had been clean for nearly 6 months. His on-camera appearance was one of his first public performances after getting sober. The episode showed Waylon as an old friend of Uncle Jesse, but it was really a celebration of the man who just won the hardest battle of his life, a battle viewers never knew he was fighting.
Real nice of you to stop, Mr. Jennings.
Happy to oblige, boys.
Oh, we're sure glad to hear that.
Fact 19. Denver Pyle, who played Uncle Jesse, was secretly an oil tycoon. In the 1960s, he started buying fringe oil leases in Texas and Colorado for $2.15 per barrel. By the time Dukes premiered, he was earning $46.75 per barrel. His oil company, Otis Energy, made him wealthier than his entire acting career combined. When people asked why he still worked on a weekly TV series, Pyle grinned and said, "Acting provides the cash flow I need for oil speculation. And besides, it's fun." Uncle Jesse was the richest person on set, and absolutely nobody knew.
I'm going in there and I'm going to collect my egg. And when I come back out here, I don't want to see anything but hind ends and elbows as you two boys are loading them their machines on that there truck yonder.
Fact 20. When network executives reluctantly agreed to let Catherine Bach wear those controversial cutoff shorts, they had one condition. She had to wear flesh-colored pantyhose underneath to ensure nothing inappropriate showed on family television. The executives completely miscalculated. The pantyhose didn't tone anything down. Instead, they created a smooth, glossy finish that made her legs look even more striking and drew more attention. What was meant to censor ended up amplifying the very thing they wanted to hide. The pantyhose became the reason Daisy Duke's look worked so perfectly. Censorship accidentally created an icon.
Are you having trouble, little lady?
Yeah, I'm having a picnic. Which way to the beach?
There ain't no beach around here.
Oh, and me with this basket full of lemonade and chitlin sandwiches.
Fact 21. Flash, Roscoe's Basset Hound sidekick, was directed entirely with pieces of hot dog. James Best would strategically hide hot dog chunks to get Flash's attention toward the camera, and after every successful scene, Flash got her reward. The dog's gender also mysteriously changed mid-series. Flash started male in early episodes, then quietly became female. Nobody ever explained why. Throughout 147 episodes, Flash loved the Dukes, hated Boss Hogg, and worked exclusively for processed meat. She was television's most food-motivated police dog, and honestly, that's extremely relatable.
Fetch. Fetch. Fetch means, in French, I mean for you to go get it, huh? I'll tell you, I'm going to show you just this one time, okay? Now you got to sniff it out.
Fact 22. Sheriff Roscoe didn't have a middle initial in Season 1. James Best convinced producers to add the P starting in Season 2 because, as he put it, it gave him more to play with vocally. He loved the way Roscoe P. Coltrane rolled off his tongue with exaggerated emphasis. Best later admitted he'd stolen the middle initial from a real-life judge he'd appeared before, grounding even Roscoe's absurd name in personal history. It wasn't until Season 3, launched in the episode Mrs. Roscoe P. Coltrane, that viewers learned what the P stood for. Purvis. For one full season, that P existed purely because an actor liked how it sounded. Fact 23. 5 main cast members directed episodes. Denver Pyle directed 12. James Best directed 3. Sorrel Book directed 4. Tom Wopat directed 5. John Schneider directed 1. The actors literally took control of production, shaping the show from both sides of the camera. These weren't vanity projects. These were seasoned performers who'd been in the business for decades, bringing their expertise to a show that desperately needed fresh perspectives on repetitive car chase formulas. When you watch later seasons, you're often watching the cast directing itself. That's rare, even today.
Go straight. Go straight. It's all right. I know where I'm going.
Fact 24. The first 5 episodes, filmed in Georgia, had a noticeably different, more adult tone than everything that followed. Raunchier humor, coarser language, slightly edgier situations. Roscoe was genuinely threatening and even shot someone in the pilot. Then creator Guy Waldron realized children were tuning in by the millions, and everything shifted. The show became family-friendly, characters softened, violence vanished. If you watch those Georgia episodes today, they feel like a different show. Darker, grittier, closer to the 1975 film Moonrunners they were based on. The first 5 episodes are The Dukes That Almost Was.
How much time we got?
Well, enough.
Fact 25. During Georgia and early California filming, stunt drivers crashed General Lee's directly into the Warner Brothers backlot lagoons, some up to 35 feet deep, where they initially sank and stayed. The production's chaotic pace meant retrieval wasn't a priority. They just kept building more cars. While later backlot renovations cleared most submerged vehicles for safety and environmental reasons, the legend of the General Lee Underwater Cemetery became folklore among crew members who witnessed it firsthand. For years, divers doing maintenance work would find rusted Charger parts buried in the silt, ghost of television's most destructive car show.
A break like this.
Fact 26. In Season 6, producers started using miniature model cars for increasingly absurd stunts. This wasn't just about saving money. They'd literally run out of cars to destroy. The United States had been stripped of 1969 Dodge Chargers. Junkyards were empty. Collectors refused to sell. The show's insatiable appetite had consumed the entire available supply. Many cast members, including Tom Wopat, openly criticized the miniature switch, calling it cheap and ridiculous. Fans noticed immediately when real Chargers were replaced by obvious toy cars flying through the air. The magic of watching real metal crumple was gone, killed not by budget cuts, but by extinction. Fact 27. During Season 5, when Tom Wopat and John Schneider were replaced by Coy and Vance Duke because of the lawsuit, producers tried to compensate for losing the beloved leads by cramming episodes with even more stunts and explosions. In just 18 episodes, they destroyed approximately 36 General Lees, double the normal destruction rate. The strategy failed spectacularly. Ratings plummeted. Fans rejected the replacement Dukes no matter how many cars exploded or flew. When Bo and Luke returned, the excessive carnage calmed down. The show learned a brutal lesson. You cannot replace chemistry with destruction.
Hey, kids, now don't eat yet.
I know we promised not to tell Sheriff, but she drug it out of us. Well, besides, we figured people had a right to know just who saved the orphanage. And you wait till Boss Hogg finds out it was you.
Oh, Roscoe, you old softy, you.
Fact 28. The final episode that aired, opening night at the Boar's Nest, ended with everyone celebrating Boss Hogg's stage comeback. But that wasn't the last scene they actually filmed. The true final scene showed Bo and Luke sitting in the General Lee in the Boar's Nest parking lot, sharing one last bit of banter. When cameras stopped rolling and the rear projection screen went blank, John Schneider, the show's biggest fan among the cast, broke down crying behind the wheel of the engineless General. That raw, emotional moment never made it to television or even the DVD releases. The real goodbye stayed private, locked away.
Hey, Bo! What's hey, Luke?
How you doing?
Hey.
Hello, Cooter.
Y'all still driving this thing on the road?
Yep.
Hey, I was wondering.
No, you can't borrow it.
Fact 29. Denver Pyle was diagnosed with lung cancer in 1996, but refused to let it stop him from filming the 1997 reunion movie, The Dukes of Hazzard Reunion. On December 11, 1997, less than 2 weeks before his death, Pyle summoned the strength to attend the unveiling of his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It was his final public appearance. He died on Christmas Day, 1997, at age 77, surrounded by the love of millions who knew him as Uncle Jesse, television's most beloved patriarch. Went the man who raised the Duke family with homespun wisdom and moonshine in equal measure.
Sheriff,
Yeah.
Fact 30. Ben Jones played Cooter Davenport, the lovable mechanic who kept the General Lee running. After the Dukes ended in 1985, Jones didn't just fade into Hollywood obscurity. He ran for Congress and won twice. He served as a U.S. congressman representing Georgia's 4th District from 1989 to 1993. The same guy who wore grease-stained coveralls and fixed wrecked Chargers spent 4 years making laws in Washington, D.C. He later opened Cooter's Place, a Dukes of Hazzard museum in Tennessee. From Hazzard County mechanic to United States congressman. That's not a Hollywood story. That's an American story.
Everybody, a toast. A toast to the final moonshine run between Jesse Duke and Boss J.D. Hogg.
Bonus fact. Here's something most people don't know. The General Lee wasn't always orange. In the very first test footage shot for the pilot, the car was painted red with a white vinyl top, basically a stock 1969 Charger with no modifications. When the producers saw it on film, they hated it. The red didn't pop on camera. It looked flat and forgettable. So they repainted it Hemi orange, a Chrysler factory color, added the Confederate flag to the roof, the 01 on the doors, and that iconic horn. The transformation happened between test shoots. The General Lee almost looked completely different, and if it had stayed red, we might not be talking about it 50 years later. The Dukes of Hazzard destroyed 300 cars, launched a country music hit, made a Basset Hound a household name, and turned Friday nights into appointment television for millions of families. It gave us characters we still quote, a car we still recognize instantly, and a theme song that's burned into our collective memory. But what made it legendary wasn't the jumps or the explosions, it was the warmth. Uncle Jesse's wisdom, Roscoe's laugh, Daisy's courage, Bo and Luke's loyalty. Waylon's voice guiding us through every episode like an old friend. The show made Hazzard County feel like home. And here's the thing nobody wants to talk about, that Confederate flag on the General Lee's roof, which meant one thing to the show's creators and something very different to millions of others, has made the show nearly impossible to find on streaming services today. Warner Brothers stopped selling General Lee merchandise. TV networks pulled reruns. The car that once symbolized rebellion and freedom is now caught in America's ongoing reckoning with its symbols and history. But no matter where you stand on that debate, no matter how much time passes, that orange Charger flying through the air will always take us back. To simpler times, to family, to the good old boys who never meant no harm.